Hi quilting friends, it's Carolina Moore with alwaysexpectmore.com, and today I'm going to show you the half rectangle triangle, which is part of this quilt block. This quilt block is the Moonlit Tent Block, and it's free on my site. It's part of the Quilt Block Mania Summer Series, and there are a bunch of different pattern designers that all have a free quilt block that finishes at 12 inches square that you can download from their different sites, and all those links are on my site. You can find the link to my site down in the description box. So this is the block that I made. It is completely free, and it is this fun moonlit tent block. Now this block uses, in several different places, a half rectangle triangle, and you might be used to a half square triangle like this, and half square triangle has a lot of features that make it super simple, that it's a square, that this is exactly at a 45-degree angle, that if you turn this 90 degrees you automatically have a triangle that faces the other way, and these are all things that don't happen when you have a half rectangle triangle. So I'm going to show you my tips and tricks to getting great half rectangle triangles that get you nice sharp points when you put your quilt together. So we have our different pieces, and I'm going to show you the parts for making the tent. The steps are going to be the exact same for making your tree though. But the thing about making the tent is that I have two different colors, and I have this lighter color where the moon is hitting the tent and this darker color on the other side. And the lines go like this and like this to make the triangles of the tent. But when we sew this, we actually want to sew it the other way. So while the line is going down into the left on this side of the tent, we want to actually make our line the other direction so that when it flips over, you can see that it makes the correct triangle for our tent. And it feels a little backwards, but you just have to remember that, yes, you're putting the lines on backwards. The next trick is, with a regular half square triangle, you would usually make your line exactly from corner to corner, all the way across. And depending on what kind of half square triangle you're stitching, you'd either stitch a 1/4 inch on either side or directly on that line. We are stitching directly on these lines because we have to make a right and a left of each, so it doesn't make sense to make double. And what I'm actually doing is I'm drawing my line a 1/4 inch in from the corner, and then I'm just eyeballing the 1/4 inch in from this corner, but you could measure it, make a mark, and then line it up to draw your line. So I'm going to do the same on this side. I'm just gonna eyeball, or I could go ahead and line this up on my mat to know where my 1/4 inch is. Then I can line the 1/4 inch here, bring that there. There we go. And now I have my lines on my tent block pieces. I would do the exact same for my tree block pieces. Then I put these on my background squares. And when you put these on your background, you're not going to lay them exactly on top of each other, because when you lay them exactly on top of each other, when you stitch on that line, you'll get this weird kite-shaped piece, and that's not what we want at all. Instead, you're going to tilt it so that this line lines up a 1/4 inch from the edge here and a 1/4 inch from the edge here. And you can go ahead and eyeball that. It doesn't need to be perfect. And then what will happen is when we flip this open, look, now we're getting our perfect half rectangle triangle. Now we're going to do the same with the other side, except obviously it'll go the opposite direction. Now if you tried to do it in this direction, you'd see that you can't get this to line up. So just by virtue of having the line in the correct direction, you'll automatically line everything up correctly here as well. And we're going a 1/4 inch in from here and a 1/4 inch in from here, and then we're going to go ahead and stitch. So here I have my stitched pieces, and I can go ahead and trim these a 1/4 inch away from the edge, and it doesn't matter whether I stitch or whether I cut a 1/4 inch going this side or a 1/4 inch going this side, because look, this way, oh, it makes my perfect tent piece, and if I flip it the other way, it makes my perfect tent piece. This is always going to be the right side of my tent because of the way that I drew this line. So I'm just gonna line my 1/4 inch mark right here and cut. And then I can do the same with the other one. And again, it doesn't matter which side I'm trimming away. And then I can go ahead and press these towards the dark. So when I square these up, I'm squaring them up to 4.5 by 8.5. And I want that 4 1/4 mark, that's a 1/4 inch down, to be on the seam line. And on this side, I want the 1/4 inch in and the 8 1/4 mark to be also on that seam line. So 4 1/4, 8 1/4, and I'm going to be squaring this up to 4.5 by 8.5. The other side should be even more obvious as I make this 8.5 here, 4.5 here. That 4 1/4 line should be right on the seam line, and the 8 1/4 line that comes a 1/4 inch should be right on that seam line as well. And you'll notice that this that I'm cutting off is a little bit smaller on this end and a little larger on this end. It is a little bit on the bias, and that's okay for these blocks. Really what we're looking at is getting those perfect seam allowances. So while with a regular half square triangle, my seam would be right at that corner and right at that corner, for a half rectangle triangle, you actually want it in a little bit and in a little bit, and that's going to get us those perfect points when we stitch it all together. So that's how you make the half rectangle triangles that are used in my Moonlit Tent Block. This is a free pattern on my site. You can find that link down below, but before you go, make sure that you give this video a thumbs up. If you have any questions or comments, leave those down below. I love, love, love getting people's comments and questions in the comment box, and I do look for those and I answer them. And if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button and that bell so you get notified whenever I have a new fun quilting and crafting video up here on YouTube. If you're new around here, go ahead and look around my YouTube channel. I have lots and lots of fun, creative ideas, different quilting tips and tools that I'm sure that you'll love as well. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you here soon.